What is going on? I am back with another Hobby Hang stream, this time working on, continuing the Warp Spider Phoenix Lord. Done quite a bit of development on defining the values of the model itself, but the base is a pretty crucial component for this gal, so I think it's time to develop some of the just the fidelity overall of the entirety so I can better judge where the model is currently situated. Hey, Francois Marion, how's it going? How's it going? Lies and deception. Every day it's more lies. From Whomst. Whomst is lying to you. Right, so I think probably I can start just putting on a coat of Toxic Mist onto the Warp Blast here, begin developing this color. I can see it's fairly too thin. I'm just pulling what was on my palette from yesterday's stream. So we're going to have to reinvigorate that a little bit. Butterfingers over here. Yep, just using some Toxic Mist. One of my lights was stuttering. A bit of a strobe effect going on, but it seems to have settled down, but apologies if it starts acting up. Your back is killing you, eh? Working on 6 Deathwing and Blade Guard. Or 6 Deathwing, Blade Guard, and some Ancients. Oh, love me some Ancients. Sorry to hear about your back, though. That definitely sucks. Maybe it's just you just wake up on it funny, or what? That happens sometimes. And regardless, hopefully it's nothing serious. Definitely gonna need a couple coats for this piece here. I find I have to dilute the Toxic Mist a little bit because it's so chalky. Just too, the layers are just too ugly if I don't water it down, and then if I water it down, it's not the best coverage. You don't know how it happened. Your back injury there, eh, Francois? Sometimes, I don't know, maybe... backs are weird, you know? We can't really predict them. Sometimes if it's too cold, sometimes your back spazzes up, you know? Maybe it'll reset once you go to sleep. You wake up with a new back. Six Deathwing Blade Guard veterans. Very cool. Do the Deathwing do Blade Guard veterans gain the Deathwing keyword in that Dark Angels detachment? I think they used to, right? I think in ninth edition, they got the keywords. Maybe I'm misremembering, though. Yep. Yep is the answer. Okay. Well, that is good. Definitely want the appropriate keywords to come into effect for the units that should rightfully have it, you know? It's like you wouldn't want the Silent King to be lacking his nobility keyword in the nobility detachment. That would be off-putting. See, even... I think if I layer up the a bit of this over the Hex Wraith that's going to go over top, I think it'll lessen the awkwardness of the brushstrokes here, but we'll have to see. If it remains weird, I'll just have to I don't know, add texture via brushstrokes after the fact, like white hatches or something. Because I would love for this model just to look killer when it's all said and done. Trying out a new microphone setting, so you guys let me know if things are sounding all right. Hey, Kitbash, how's it going? How are we all? I'm doing all right. I think Francois has a hurt back, though, unfortunately. Big sad. We should all pour one out for Francois's back. Perhaps the sacrifice will yield some tangible gains. Okay, I need to start building up the armor color for this word bearer's body on here. So nothing new if you've been following the word bearer's streams. Just a Mechrite red mixed with some game color black. Wrong handle. I'm not really sure what I have planned in mind for the stone artifact there. I can try adding some Space Wolves contrast that I got off of a buddy who was just he bought it to try out for a color scheme, and he just didn't pan out, didn't yield to a project, so he just gave it to me. So I got this Space Wolves Gray. Maybe it's quite separated, as you can see, but maybe that's a good stone color. I imagine it might be pretty, like a nice cool gray, like a Space Wolves armor color. Okay, so this is just straight Mechrite. Haven't really layered any black yet. Because I know the rear-facing armor will be brighter because of the big warp blast. So I want to try and play into that. I'll have to do something about the metal trim as well because it's quite dark. Right? And the armor should return to the normal word bearer's color in the front. That's sort of the vibe I'm thinking. So we'll just play around with this, lay down some colors, chill out with chat, do some blends. Your 3 crushed vertebrae. Oh, geez. Kitbash, it sounds terrible. Should pour one out for your 3 vertebrae. Yeah, definitely take it easy. Don't overdo it, buddy. Don't overdo it. Try and get in here a little bit. Layer up some more of that Mechrite up here. How bright can we go? How far can I push it? These are the questions I ask myself while painting. Well, your response warms my heart, Kitbash. If these streams are sparking a bit of hobby motivation for others, that makes me, well, that's the purpose, really. That is the purpose. You gotta paint under your feet. Super crucial. You never know when someone's gonna lift up your model and check if you've painted the bottoms of your marine's feet. Okay. A little awkward to get in here. It's like I think I'm painting armor. I think so. It's like a 50% chance I'm painting his armor, not his trim. All right, that one's looking pretty good. I want to grab some. What is this on my palette here? It's it's just runoff water. I want to get some off-white and mix in a touch to the mix in a bit of off-white to the Mechrite, just to get a brighter value going of that armor color. Maybe mix in a bit of Toxic Mist as well, because I want to. Oh my god, my my game color white dropper here is just, it's borked. It's completely dead. I used to complain about GW paint pots as if they are like by all categories worse than dropper bottles, but dropper bottles have their imperfections. I find, anyways. I don't know about you guys. Maybe I'm just using them wrong. Well, you know, Kid Bash, you know, reading that message of yours, that does suck, but happy to hear things are somewhat returning to normal for you, or at least by the sounds of it, if I'm understanding you correctly. Okay, gonna need some Mechrite, right? Ah, excuse me. Words are hard. Need more Mechrite red. Definitely thinking of getting a bright red to go over the armor, like it's been seared by the warp blast. It's like still molten hot, like a well, it's like a heat, a melted metal kind of effect. I think that would look really cool. So the armor is approaching a pink kind of color back here, but it should be okay. The Hex Wraith is going to go over top and kind of tint everything a bit more green, which should help sell the effect, I think. In theory, that's what should happen. We're doing it live. A bit of experimentation. Got your girlfriend into kid bashing. Nice. Always a good thing when you can appreciate each other's hobbies. Let's get some of this dark color built up around the sides. Yeah, I can get behind that, Kitbash. That's a good principle, good spirit. There's certainly times to put on one's big boy pants, but you never want to lose that ability to experience that childlike wonderment. Like, this is gonna be like nearly this area here, right where like the closest piece of armor, right near the warp blast. That's gonna be basically blasted with bounce light. You know, like you're probably not gonna see any red. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's right by our effect. So I can probably really push the toxic mist over here. Even more than that. Let's get more toxic mist. Let's really pump it up. So, who's that? Who is this? This dead, exploded Chaos Space Marine? We'll never know. Who's to say? Probably a bad dude that this Warp Spider Phoenix Lord, just had to destroy. 'Twas the right thing to do. Good to see you in chat, Misfit. I appreciate the company. How's it going? What are you hobbying on? Or are you just chilling? Okay. Can we sell this OSL? That is the journey, the quest I have embarked on when I acquired this model. You have the option not to use the Warp Blast base with the exploded Marine, but it's just so cool. It would certainly be a simpler project to paint if you just have her jumping off this the statue, kind of like a parkour leap. No worries, Misfit. If you're just here to hang out, join in the hobby camaraderie, check out the Warp Spider progression, I don't mind at all. Yeah, rearranging your flat is rearranging furniture rather is certainly a taxing taxing undertaking. Unless it's in Animal Crossing, then it's all fun and games. Oh, very cool, Misfit. Very cool. An Amazonian Blood Bowl team. Never tried Blood Bowl myself, but it seems fun. Seems like a good time, you know? A good beer and pretzels game, I imagine. I really have to work on the blends on this side. It's a little rough. Also need more glazing medium in the mix. Oh, we got some blends happening, all right. I just saw your message, Misfit, about naming your team. That's pretty good. The underpaid Amazon warehouse workers. That is pretty good. Hmm. So I'm thinking of getting back to some of the thematic list build videos this week. Take a break from the house ruling, sharing my passionate house rule projects, but get back to something a bit more generally appealing, I think. But what faction to do? What style of army to make a list for? I don't really, I think I have a Google Doc that just has a bunch of ideas, and as they come to me, I note them down there, so I could check that doc. But I wonder if there's something more timely. Like Tyrannid's got a buff recently, right? So did Admech, so maybe a Tyranids or Admech list is the right way to go. Ah, you enjoy the thematic list build videos. Nice. That's always great to hear. Always cool. I think maybe another idea I'd like to do, and I wish there was a detachment for this, but I'd like to do a Tau all stealth, like max stealth list, you know? Stealth suits, ghost keels, shadow sun, but I think that's it. That's why I wish there was a detachment for more of a sneaky style of play. But I think they just added a stratagem, the Daleth stratagem, into the Kauyon detachment. I think that was a change from the Codex. So maybe there's something there. Or maybe you shoehorn Kroot into there as well, because I think Daleth was about auxiliaries and their stealth tech. I have to double check this. Gotta check the Lexicanum. Because if there doesn't seem to be enough pure stealth units to make that work exclusively with just stealth suits. Brood Brothers base list, eh? I think a GSC list, if I were to do one, I think it would be a lot of hobby time type of segments, because I think there's a lot of creative potential for creating cults in the different facets of the Imperium, right? You have your Brood Brothers in the military, but you also have like your various other facets, and the old codexes for GSC was really good about this because their cults were all segregated into those flavors, right? Like you had I keep forgetting what it's called. Like Twisted Cog was very Admech adjacent. Bladed Cog, I think it was called. And the Twisted Helix was the Monster Mash one, which isn't really Imperium related. But I like that there was a churchy, a very religious one, a very faith-based one. That's like your Ministorum adjacent GSC. That new Necromunda character is like perfect for a Bladed Cog Magus, I think. Whatever their wizard is. The cult leader. the spiritual leader of the cult, not the militant one. Oh, your GSC is heavily kit bashed? Nice. That's the. I don't know, I feel like that's the way to do it personally. That's like the most fun you could have with GSC would be to really make them feel uniquely part of I think, different areas of the Imperium. It's like, this is my farmers cult. They're just a bunch of farmers on an agri world, and they, they're just harvesting food, getting a good yield for the Tyranids that are on their way. Probably should be a Twisted Helix cult, right? Because then you want like a strong labor force for working the farm, working the ranch. Need some muscly guys, some strongmen. I'm trying to thin this toxic mist down a little bit more. Let's see what I can like get away with here. We'll keep the outsides of these greaves brighter and the inside darker to get a bit of a enhanced kind of dimension of the shape. Maybe that makes sense. Sometimes you gotta try it out, you know? You just gotta try it out, see how it looks. Alright, so I know the armor is going to be like an orange or a yellow. I'll look at some reference, like a Star Wars lightsaber in like a... I remember in episode 1 of Star Wars, the Qui-Gon sticks the lightsaber through a door. Maybe it should just be white, and then around it is orange or red, because it should be super hot. But I'm not sure what to do with like these areas. Just metal color? Or just burnt? Like it'd just be burnt kind of muscle, right? Like the ceramite would heat up and get white or red. But the biomass within, I guess that should just be charred, right? Okay, those legs are looking decent. The leg armor's looking alright. Certainly enough to judge relative to our warp spider. Alright, well, there's other armor parts to do. Probably should have started it earlier. I often find when I'm painting I get lost in various components, and I think that's part of the fun of painting. Like, you don't want to... Like, I hate batch painting for that reason. It just turns into such a slog. And makes you... It makes me, anyways, not enjoy something that I otherwise would. Which feels kind of counterintuitive. Like, what am I doing? Why am I here, right? Just to suffer. Just catching up on chat. I see your message there, Julian. How's it going? What detachment would I recommend for a tactical company that's Oops All Gravis, that's specialized in naval and boarding actions? Okay, so it's an interesting question. Oops All Gravis. I don't think any of the detachments are leaning towards Gravis more than any other, right? I think you have certain detachments that work off of Phobos and vehicle keywords, but you have a mounted one in the White Scarves, but I don't think there's anything Gravis related. As for boarding actions, I guess you want stratagems that are more infantry heavy. There might be some interesting play with the Imperial Fists Anvil Siege, just because of Gravis. The heavy intercessors, which I imagine you might have a lot of in that list, could benefit from the heavy keyword. Like, they actually have it. Not too many units do have the or not too many weapons have the heavy keyword. I know the heavy bolt rifles do. There might be a bit of play there. It's very static kind of gameplay. Not the most fun, in my opinion. Hate to say it. Maybe Gladius Task Force, honestly. It's I mean, I'm a big fan of it. I've mentioned it in several thematic list builds. I'm a Gladius fanboy. I think that's a well-designed detachment and thematically appropriate for a versatile Codex, Ultramarines flavored detachment. Yeah, Misfit has a nice suggestion there with the Salamanders detachment. There's quite a few stratagems in there that are transport keyworded, which is weird. I mean, not entirely, but they made a Salamanders detachment a transport flexing detachment, which can work, but personally I'm missing other stratagems that Salamanders used to have that I would much rather have. Otherwise, yeah, a Salamanders type detachment would be ideal because it's like close range shooting, right? Close range warfare, perfect for boarding actions. I think Gladius or Firestorm, whatever they call it, Firestorm Assault Force, whatever they call the Salamanders, not Salamanders detachment. The ability will work well for boarding actions because you'll be in close quarters. So the +1 to strength helps all your weapons. And having assault on your Gravis guys helps with their lower movement speed if you're if I can't even remember now if Gravis is movement 5 or not. Oh, but they already have assault. So then it would help your aggressors. and possibly Eradicators. Yeah. Okay, Julian. Yeah. If yeah, Gravis is moving 5, so I'm leaning towards Firestorm. The stratagems aren't great for a boarding action themed, or I mean, if that's just a theme, then it doesn't matter. But if you're playing in those kinds of with those kinds of restrictions, then those stratagems aren't that good. But if it's just for your kind of narrative, and you're just gonna play normal games and have transports, then yeah, by all means, Firestorm Assault Force is pretty good. I don't think it's bad. There's certainly some cool tricks at your disposal with it. Need more gain on the mic? Let me find the gain knob. Is it this? No. This one? Maybe? Is this the gain? Oh, yeah, this seems like the gain for sure. Look at those levels, all red. It might be too high now. Okay, okay. I've stopped adjusting it. Tell me if this is better. Sometimes I'm not facing my microphone, FYI, so that may affect the audio quality or the volume, I guess. But I think that should be a bit better. It's low again. Okay, okay. Let me pump it up. How about now? Is that better? How about now? Perhaps that is an ideal volume. Or are you just trying to hear me breathe? Do you have a secret agenda with these requests to increase the microphone gain? Yeah, 2% better? Oh, okay, it's great. Cool, 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 cool. You're gonna go lay down, Misfit? Well, you take care. You take care. Feel better. Rest up. Rest up and enjoy your evening. Thanks for stopping by. You've made lists based on the unique company structures via demi-companies of your homebrew Blood Angel successor chapter. You've done fun things like using Deathwatch for the 8th Devastator Reserve Company. Interesting. Sounds like you're enjoying your Marines. Okay, let's try and... Oh, I think I just goofed that up. I think it was good, and then I ruined it. Terrible. Just terrible. It's the way it goes. Just the way it goes. I think that's a accidental reference to Community. I love that show. Okay, I guess it's time to start brightening up the other armor components. Hooray! What fun! Right, I'm thinking... How would the helmet be lit? Probably should do something for the blood as well, which is going to be tricky. No headphones giving me gamer skull, no earbuds being radiation back and forth. My speakers can go down but not up. Yeah, maybe I'll do a Tau thematic list build next. Maybe that could be interesting, right? Take all the stealth units and then you fill up the rest with Kroot and then call it Daleth, maybe? Can make use of some of the new Kroot units to make up the points difference, because there's not enough stealth suits for a fully dedicated stealth list. That could be pretty neat. Alright, what is next? I guess you gotta start doing some metallics. So I darkened the trim on this guy quite a bit when I applied this Vallejo metal color. And I did that by mixing in black. So I'm just gonna use the straight metal color to see if we can pump it back up towards the sides facing our light effect. And I imagine I have to mix in some Toxic Mist here as well. Or maybe not. Maybe the Hexwraith is sufficient? No, probably not. Probably need to mix in some white. No, I'll mix in Hexwraith. Apologies for the for the inability to make up my mind here. Figuring it out as I go, alright? So indecisive, such is my curse. I take some of this to my palette and just see about mixing in some Toxic Mist. Well, we certainly lose the how metallic it is, but I think that makes sense, because like with any material, it's just going to get washed out, right? It's just going to be overblown by this OSL. Let's try and push it a bit more. I think this is working. And watch, once I put the Hexwraith over top, it all falls apart. Alright, so I'll do that metal treatment, I guess, everywhere. Well, not everywhere, but all the metal areas that I would imagine would catch that bounce light. I mean, for this blood, I'm not actually sure what the approach would be. It's such a unique material and effect that I have to do here. I don't think I've ever had such a scenario or I've never been in a situation where I've had to paint a blood effect next to like an OSL kind of effect. I guess you paint it red, you shade it like it's blood, and then you apply extremely sharp hot spots in Toxic Mist, and then blood effects over top, maybe? Probably gonna have to hit it with a glossy varnish or something afterwards. Twill be interesting. I have some gray on my palette here. Maybe... Is it alive? Can I resurrect it? I'm just wondering if I can do this weapon casing now. No, I cannot. There's so much going on with this model. Gee, it's kind of intimidating. Maybe we should do the earth. For the ground, I'll be using London Grey, and then I'll probably be mixing in Toxic Mist, honestly, as our go-to OSL color. I think the stone itself will actually have to be a brighter color, close to our weapon casing color for this marine. I need some more space on my palette. So in the past, I've done some minimal OSL work on the floating Zoanthrope, whatever the leader is called, the Neurothrope. I had some lightning effects on that guy, and there was some slight OSL with the wires to make them look like they're glowing, like the wires were painted like lightning. It's kind of a popular effect you see around. And I found that dry brushing the ground is a pretty surefire way to sell the OSL effect on those imperfect surfaces. You can kind of use the earth texture to your advantage in that regard, but here I don't think I have that luxury. There's just too much going on in the base. All right. Toxic Mist, let's go. Let's frickin' go. I'll get some more glazing medium in here too. And let's see if I can kind of stipple so as to mimic the earth texture. Then we'll mix in a bit more Toxic Mist and do it again, but just further back. The timer we at 8:40. I thought this might be this is gonna be a multi-stream affair, even just for this base. It's really two models. I shouldn't call it just a base. Given how elaborate it is, I think that's a fair classification. I go back in with like the pure London Grey on this these stepped stones. Let's see what we can do here. I guess because the natural lighting is technically it's like it's casting a shadow, right? Down here, so maybe you have to compensate for that with the paints you're putting down to create the illusion that it's illuminated, right? Oh, this song, this Mahjong song is so good. You should just get this on a loop the entire stream. What a bop. So in actuality, back here it wouldn't be as bright. We're getting too far away. Lessen that. Oh, I've been neglecting chat. My humblest apologies. Let me take a look. Oh, what am I missing? Want to buy my metal stealth Tau. I think I have 9 and metal shadow sun. No, I have no desire to collect a Tau army. I'm content just working on my backlog here. I was thinking more for a thematic list build video. I think a stealth Tau list could be pretty cool, like a Daleth themed list. I know most people don't rate the sub-factions too highly, or don't place too much value in them for the Xenos factions, but I like them. I think the Xenos sub-factions are neat. Obviously, they don't have the kind of pedigree and history, I guess, of the Space Marine factions, but part of me feels like By not treating them equally, you're kind of just making Space Marines look like special snowflakes. Like, I would prefer for the other factions, like the other army sub-factions, to be treated as though they were significant in the same way. It's sort of a similar feeling I have about Ultramarines. I feel like people poo-poo them because of memes, but you know, if I'm playing Word Bearers, I kind of want the Ultramarines to be badass because they're my enemies, right? Like, I want my opponents to be imposing and you know, effective. You don't want them to be lame. Why does Sonic Adventure music sound like the Knuckles levels? Why do they have such good vibes? What's that about? Like old school hip hop aesthetic. I think it's looking good. It's so hard to judge. Definitely. I don't know. I don't know. It's such a challenging model. Devastators can't combat squad? Yeah, that sucks. I adored the combat squad rule. And I hate how it is in the new rules. Tactical squads got it back though, right? That was factored. At least. At least they got their combat squad back. Though you have to take them at a squad size of 10 for whatever reason. Like, why? Why would you do this to me? I can't just take a 5-man tac squad, throw them in a Razorback. It's so cool. It's so classic. Yeah, there's just some... There's certain... Not some. There's enough things in the Space Marines Codex that makes me... like aggrieved or just turned off, I guess, from playing them. Yeah, tacticals can combat squad, but I misuse 10. Yeah. I loved putting a tactical squad in a Razorback and then sending them on like a little mission, you know? It was a thing I like to do with my Marines, but not allowed, I guess. I don't know. It feels so arbitrary. Like, what about this in world? Like, why couldn't I do that? It doesn't make sense to me. too many. I mean, if the defense is that, or if the justification, I mean, is for that choice is like a competitive one, I feel like too many choices are made for the competitive game at the moment. And then my narrative suffers. I think I'm going to paint this whole thing with this dark sea gray mix. It's just dark sea gray from Vallejo and off-white. I have kind of like a cool, not quite ivory, but a cooler off-white color for these statues across my Eldar collection. So I think this statue should probably fall in line with that material. But if it's white, that means it's going to reflect more light, which means it's going to be more green. Let's see if we can brighten this up a little bit. The stippling to the rescue. The limitations on apothecaries is stupid. What enlighten me, or maybe I've just forgotten. What's the limitation on apothecaries? Is it a leadership one, like sorry, which unit they can attach to limitation, or is it something else? My white paint, my off-white dropper bottle is cursed. Every time I open it, it sounds so vulgar. It just shoots more white paint into the cap. So that's like my paint reservoir now. It's like basically a dropper bottle. Amazing. Let's try and layer up some white tones. Begin suggesting the OSL, and I'll start mixing in some Toxic Mist, I think. It's right up against it, right? They can't join half the infantry units? Yeah, that's big lame. That's unideal. What's up with Tech Marines also? Only able to attach to, what is it? Devastator squads and those stupid t-shirt guys? T-shirt launching Primaris guys, right? Desolators. What's the deal with that? Is that a lore thing? Like, why? So I also hate how a Gravis captain can't go with the company heroes. Like that, it really deflates my excitement from finishing my company heroes squad and my chapter master. Because it was on my to-do list for the Firekeepers for this edition, right? Do the chapter master. That's like a command squad. That's like a great final boss kind of thing for a collection, right? That you own. But what's the excitement? My chapter master can't even go with the command squad. Amazing. I have to pretend he's Marnius Calgar. These are the kinds of things that sap the Space Marine enthusiasm from me. Oh, I'm such a fool. There's more rocks to paint. God. Terrible. This is what I'm talking about. You get so dialed in, so like into the process. Then before you know it, your paint's dry, and then well, I guess it's not that big of a problem. Okay, after I get a base coat on here, I think I should do one more glazed layer of Toxic Mist over this Warp Blast effect, and then I'm going to put some Hex Wraith over the whole thing, because I think it's a somewhat crucial effect, and I think the longer I hold off, the worse. It's like going to hold everything else back from being able to be judged accurately, you know? You're trying to do OSL, but you're not really defining the end result, and then how do you judge how the bounce lighting is supposed to look? It seems very critical. I should get some gray and hit these wires, maybe? I don't know. So many questions. I don't think I've had so many like problem-solving type decisions when painting a model before. Green stuffing, yes. The terrain effects project was certainly like, how am I going to figure this out, right? But this seems particularly complex. Blade Guard vets? No. Devastator, sure thing. Oh, I see. For the Apothecary as a leader, right? Yeah, that seems so weird. The Apothecary doesn't go with veterans, but he goes with Devastators, who are... And Devastators are the lowest in, like, the experience pool, right? In terms of keeping the crucial guys alive. It doesn't make much sense. Or maybe that's old lore. The Space Marine progression path. Alright. Let's get some gray in here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I said I was going to paint the weapon casing. Although, I think it's perhaps a fruitless idea to just try and build everything up at the same time. Maybe I should be circling around. Yeah, the Apothecary leadership options are big lame. I personally wasn't feeling it, but your point is valid. You can add it to the list. Coming up on 9 on a 9 p.m. Probably wrap up around 9:30. Best not to overdo it, you know. Just get a little bit in each day. I think that's the best kind of pace to work on models. Okay, so I need to kind of quickly establish another layer of this toxic mist. Should help achieve that even coat built up over several layers. I also don't know if it's a mistake to neglect doing the blood at this stage, but I think I'll just return to it later. Maybe that's like a finishing, it's like a liquid effect, right? So treat it as like a special effects process. I mean, to a degree, so is OSL, but it seems to impact more of the model. So I think it's a bit more justified. Just have to kind of see what happens here. You guys probably can't even see what I'm painting. It's probably obscured by the warp blast. Yeah, basically I'm just trying to put some green on these ridges to sell the idea that maybe this is illuminated. We'll see if the Hex Wraith helps or hurts that effect. Well, it's going to be interesting. Benjamin Nottage, what's up? Yeah, a little quiet here on my end. Well, it's only a one. It's only me streaming. I was just a bit focused in on the painting process. Working on this base. It's basically a model into itself. The base for this Phoenix Lord. She's going to be jumping out of this Warp Blast. And there's an exploded marine on here, which is proving to be very difficult to paint. But how's it going with you? What are you up to? You painted something cool or hobbying? Well, it doesn't have to be painting, of course. Or are you just hanging out? That's cool too. I appreciate that company. It's always a boost to morale, right? sort of just waiting for this Toxic Mist to dry, because I am curious to see what the Hexwraith does. I'll probably put that shit on everything, and then I think probably to continue just layering up over top. Which shouldn't ruin the process. I don't think. I think I should be able to continue just fine. It just may require mixing a bit of Hexwraith into my blends, that's all. You've been working on a custom detachment. Oh, you were the guy from last week I helped out? Oh, well, that is an effort I can certainly appreciate. Well, good luck with your test game on Thursday. Hope it all goes well. I tried out another Word Bearers offshoot test this Sunday, and it was fine. It was productive in that sense. Like, there's certainly things I want to change. I was trying out a different sort of concept, more of a demonic allies type spin for a Word Bearers detachment, but I think it was a bit too complicated. Simpler is often better, after all. Okay, this is nearly dry. There are things like this, guys, this Word Bearer's horns that are definitely going to catch the light, and I'm just not painting it right now. And I don't think it's going to bite me in the ass, so to speak, but I think it certainly will be like a, match the aesthetic after the fact. And might be challenging, I don't know. How did it work, and what do I mean by it was too complicated? Well, I have so in the Word Bearers critique video, or the Chaos Space Marines Codex critique video, I share a Word Bearers house rule concept. And that's the one that's published on my website right now. It's like you put out tokens and you get Feel No Pains, and my buddy Melon was talking to me about having another detachment for Word Bearers with demonic allies. And by allies, I mean like increasing the points limit of demonic allies from 500 to 1,000. Sort of similar to the Brood Brothers detachment in GSC, right? A detachment focused on allying with friends, and it kind of lines up with Word Bearers' themes, I think. So it's not unappropriate, but in the experiment I ran on Sunday, I was combining that with the token concept detachment, right? Because I like the token concept for Word Bearers because it's a nice way to kind of visualize the faith which you can spend and leverage from the your undivided favor, so to speak. But it was just too many layers of rules and stratagems, doing things if you're near demon allies, and then also doing things if you spend a token, and it was just it was like trying to force two things to fit, and it's really only space for one. Okay. Okay, I'm going to put some Hexwraith on now. Don't know how much longer I'll go today. Probably another 15 or so. Let's just see what happens. These are the kind of moments where you're just kind of experimenting with an aesthetic, and you're like, well, time to just be brave and try it out. Time to just be brave. Let's just really pile on this Hexwraith. Definitely think I'll need to do some layering. Because I think it'll just look too much like pooling, like a pooling wash if I don't. Won't really look like energy. You know, the Hexwraith is getting over these areas. It kinda makes sense, I think. Yup, this is definitely gonna have to get blended in better. I think it's a little too sloppy. I actually quite like how the legs look, though. Okay, any awkward areas of pooling? Yeah, some heavy pooling here. Don't like that. Just catching up on chat now, Benjamin. I think that's a fine theme. An attachment focused on becoming stronger to take damage is nothing untasteful about it. I think it's hard. Often, like, I think I mentioned to you, the rules where that exists is like, like for instance, the Sisters Martyrs detachment in the Index. The Sisters of Battle, I mean. That's a detachment where you're kind of getting tougher, or sorry, you're gaining offensive bonuses based on losing damage, but hey, if an enemy just nukes the unit, you don't get anything. And that's kind of like a tricky thing to manage on those. You get benefits when you're below half strength or below starting strength. Yeah, I guess you can try and help stymie that with, you know, a defensive strat when you're being targeted. So it's like, oh, I'll pop a feel no pain if I'm being shot. Maybe I survive, and now I can punch back harder. I think that's probably the best way to go about those kinds of rules. Unfortunately, I believe it's like a core rules layer thing. The ability to, like, there's no rule space to gain benefits as you're losing models from a single attack activation. And the only case where that happens to come into is like if you have a leader in the unit and they have a better save. Then you slow roll as you approach allocating wounds to the leader. But barring that, I don't believe there's such an affordance for a detachment rule. Though I guess you could just work that into the exception. Right? If the detachment rule is worded such that it overwrites a core rules layer of how the attack sequence allocates wounds, I don't think that's a problem necessarily. Like, the whole game is about creating a set of core rules which then every other publication and rule creates exceptions for, right? So I don't think it's in poor taste. It's interesting, though. That's an area of mechanics that GW doesn't seem to want to mess around with, and I guess it's just for a consistency thing. Let's see here. Yeah, so basically today's stream is part one of this base, and then perhaps tomorrow or Thursdays will be part two. I can kind of judge the effect a little bit. Actually, I think I could go heavier on the Hex Wraith towards the spiral. Because I can layer those lines and hopefully kind of make them pop. But I'll need them to be darkened first. Yeah, it's a bit better. There we go. Any other spots I missed? character models get a 5-up, feel no pain. Nice. It is very good. Yeah, I've been thinking of changing the Word Bearer's detachment to not lean in so heavily to feel no pains. I think feel no pains are, you know, a descriptor of physical resilience often applied to units like or factions like the Iron Hands or Death Guard, right? Or at least previously for those two factions. They feel most appropriate for them. I don't think me giving a Word Bearer's detachment feel no pain across the board is in the best taste, is kind of how I'm feeling about it right now. I think a feel no pain against mortal wounds is like a 5-up against mortal wounds is kind of appropriate. That is how it was, I believe, in 9th edition. So I'm kind of looking to play in that space a bit more. Yeah, actually, I can get much more methodical with this. With this Hexwraith. I'm really playing with fire here. Just asking for a spill. What I'm hoping to achieve here is to kind of leverage the heavy application of a Hexwraith to create some starting blends, basically. And then I can kind of blend out the values afterwards. So I think on this kind of detail, it's the contrast that's going to sell the wow factor, or else it might just look like a big cabbage. Oh, what time are we at? We're past the stream end time. Oh boy. Maybe play into the ally thing. Let me catch up on chat before this. Oh, Alfarius, you've joined the chat so late. So late. I'm still in PA and your internet sucks. No worries, Alfarius. You enjoy your time up in PA. And I appreciate the check-in regardless. Good to hear from you, though, man. Good to hear from you. Maybe Benjamin Nottage is saying maybe I could play into the ally thing. If there are any greater demons within 6 and the word bearers get a feel no pain. Yeah, that's an option. That's an option. There's lots of room to play with thematic rules for the word bearers. I think they're one of the more well, they're the cursed evil ritual doing like Chaos Space Marines, right? Yeah, they are the archetypal like heretics. So I think there's lots of creative room there. You made it green and not blue. Interesting take. I would have made it pink for the funnies. It could have been blue, honestly. Could have been blue. But I kind of like my warp stuff green. And I think it'll contrast nicely against the warp spiders' red armor. If I did make the cabbage, so to speak, this warp cabbage blue, then I probably would have made her accents green. I don't think you'd want both to be the same color. Spooderman, yes, exactly. Something of a scientist myself. To brush up on all the Spider-Man memes now. Alright guys, I'm going to wrap up the stream. Thanks to everyone who tuned in and kept me company and kept my morale high. No battle shock tests today. Much appreciated. Oh, cool. I can see Rasmus Klang subscribed. Seems like the Streamlabs widgets work. That's kind of neat. Quite cool to see. Alright guys, I'll most likely stream tomorrow, if not Thursday. We're going to continue working on this warp cabbage. We're going to make it look real good. At least that's the goal anyways. Thanks again for watching.